lot of people's like hype in Tekken 8 for a bit until they reverted back a lot of changes. They actually gave back more defensive tools back to like players. So that's great and all too. But I think the damage is kind of done.
Welcome back.
God damn it. Welcome back to another Just Gonna Be the Two of Us here, since most of us apparently is this weekend. So hopefully the next week. But so in this case, how's
I worked a little bit voluntarily.
voluntarily? Preposterous. How do you see? I'm just kidding. But
Hey, saw my coworker struggling.
I
Long
see.
lines. I was like, hey, I'll help y'all out. I'm just here.
Uh, fair enough, I guess too. Well,
I
speaking
got
of,
approved for overtime, so I'm good.
yeah, let's go. Oh yes, let's go ahead diving into this too, because right now, would you say me and you are like really in tune with the FGC community in some levels?
Me, definitely not. To be fairly honest with you, I just play
Yeah,
one fighting game. I wouldn't say I'm so well versed in it as a
got
community member. So
right.
I don't want to,
Speak too much on their behalf, right?
yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, mine is like a swordless. I'm a surface level subs too. Like the most I've ever like got that deep into it would have been like when r/kappa was like a very popular thing.
I don't even know what that is.
That was like an old ass like fighting game subreddit. It was mostly like people who was like posting like lewd porn on that site. So of fighting game
Crazy.
characters. So, but it was also the like mixture of that with amazing like fighting game highlight moments. But there is like an actual like official FGC community and like Evo stuff. So, um, what I'm really kind of bringing up this to is a recent article that got posted here, which is titled "Fighting Games Have a Product Design." Now, for all of this too, this is made by someone that is actually in the big fighting game scene when it comes to like balancing, and it's also making like community projects within the fighting game scene. So take it what you will to. I still have some things that I read through this, and I might have like some critiques about it, like what he's trying to state here. So let's get this real quick out of the way here too, Lloyd. Do you think fighting games in general are inherently bad products?
Nowadays, can't really form a great opinion on that as I've only played one fighting game.
Right. But I guess if from the basis of that fighting game too, and you played like even a previous version of that too, would you say that it's inherently like bad in some design?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really reward you too often nowadays.
Well, in this case, this is something that the article itself kind of like covers with too, in the fact that in terms of like the game design principles too, it's not a great design, but I like to at least argue that like that might not be the case whatsoever here too. So I'm gonna pretty much go in the screen capture from here to showcase this off. Yeah, so anybody, I'll probably post this article in our video description down here too for anybody that wants to review this and whatnot too. It's a really interesting read here, but I won't even read through all of it either too. But it goes to show too that like fighting games in 2026 are floundering, with everything not called Street Fighter 6 relegated to the trash bin of history, or the worst and most likely outcome was that other studios look at this and think Street Fighter 6 is the destiny of the genre, and they try to mimic its game design in some relevancy. Which I want to say, I think this is coming off from the tail end of, let's be honest, when we look at 2XKO, it did flop, but then in my opinion, I think it still succeeded. It just did not succeed in the way that, let's say, Riot Games wanted it to succeed. Just because there was like the whole news a while ago too that Riot laid off like half the development team that worked on 2XKO
Jeez.
after. Yeah, so I have other opinions about that too, and I'll be honest too, I don't think they should just straight up do that too, just because at that point too, it's like you have unrealistic expectation of what you want this game to achieve otherwise, right? Such as the fact like what numbers were you trying to achieve? Were you trying to like capture the entirety of the fighting game community, or were you just trying to make it so that the numbers from there are equal to the numbers of people playing League of Legends? Even then too, that's like a little bit hard to ask in the first place, because fuck, another hot take here too. Not everybody likes tag team based fighting games. Let's be really real with that. Not a lot of people like tag team based fighting games, and it's not a bad thing either too. Because for your opinion too, me and you, we played Dragon Ball Fighters before too, and that was like a tag team
Mm.
fighting game. So that part was fun, and we even had like a hands on demo when we played 2XKO. The game itself was not bad, but there was definitely like in my opinion that game taking like what almost a decade for it to come out, that definitely hurt its progress. And also for like just a decade in development, you only release like 10 characters as part of your rosters. It's like holy fuck.
They kind of, in my opinion, those 10 years were not made with great
Efficiently.
intentions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt too that like let's just say COVID fucked everything up. Fair enough, right? I understand that COVID like did a lot of damage for, but the entire time that you were making this game too, they were kind of floundering around trying to figure out the style and what direction they really want to take it to. Would they want to make like a solo-based fighting game too? I thought, in my honest opinion, them making a tag team-based fighting game was probably a smart idea because there's definitely like a market for like tag team based fighting games because I
Mm.
think at the time too, no one was really playing Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and people are still playing Dragon Ball Fighters Z right now. So I think it's just that game that at the time that Project L at the time was released to, that was the only tag team game that I could think of, or unless I count like Blast Blue X Cross Tag, which is another version of the Arc System Work games. Yeah, so needless to say here, I think this article definitely comes off as like it's definitely kind of the answering of like why did 2XKO fail in this regard too. And he
Mm.
doesn't just provide like the fact that it's not Street Fighter 6. No, I think there's more than that too. He also kind of goes through the history of like the fighting games too, like especially during the 90s to the mid 2000s were like the golden age of like fighting games. Like if you look at the article too, Lloyd, some of the biggest titles that they had here too was like Super Smash Bros. Melee. Holy fucking shit, that game is so big. It's also unfortunate that Nintendo decided to also shoot down the Smash community as well, as like they didn't want to make their game like a bunch of sweaty competitiveness, even though that's not something you control inherently. But fuck if I know, right? And then like
Crazy.
the next big one was Tekken 5, which I think that sounds about right actually. Like, holy shit. So, definitely looking back at it too, a lot of like the game titles here from Smash to MVC2, those were definitely like a golden age of fighting. But that was like things that happened was like coming from like out from the arcade and now people are like getting consoles too. Like it made like hosting tournaments a lot more feasible. Like it
Mm.
didn't need to be like at arcades anymore. It's like as long as you had a console, you can still do it. That was also like the starting point of like internet connections was like starting to be a thing. But during that time as well, everybody had very big complaints of like trying to play fighting games even online. Hell, still Tekken 8 kind of still suffers that in a lot of ways.
Oh no, most definitely.
And it's like it's so crazy that like we still have this issue. And I feel really saddened too that like 2XKO, like and to me, I think it still succeeded in my eyes. But it's not like getting the relevancy that and it's like causing a lot of people within the FGC kind of questioning of like, did we fail at something? Do we call this game like a failure because of the fact that it didn't attract like too much of like the bigger audience base too? And I'm like, first of all, it takes time because let's be honest, dude, fighting games is a super niche title or super niche genre, right? Not everybody, like I said before, not everybody is into like tag team based fighting games. Not everybody is into fucking fighting games too. Shocker be all.
Yeah.
Like you can't force someone that's a ball and shooter game to like sit down to like try to learn how to do combos, right?
It'll take a while.
Yeah, it'll take a while, but at the same time, you even mentioned that's like a whole mark about this too, where it doesn't feel like you're rewarded well whenever it comes to practicing all of this stuff too, even like the simple and basic like fundamental stuff when you're just getting like fucking button mashed out by someone else.
No, dude, the amount of times that remember that like, that one night
Mhm.
where it could be just my ego, like just refusing to accept that I lost to somebody so fucking bad
Yeah,
who didn't like they don't have to learn how to play the game and they can still win. And it just
right.
takes the fun out of it for me. It's like, why am I playing this game and put time into it when this person who just can just hop on and just button mash me to fucking infinity?
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
yeah. It does get definitely frustrating too, right? And that's something to do that like
Yeah.
I think that is like one of like the hard design problems that honestly any game is trying to tackle here. You're going against like a actual fundamental reason of like, I believe in this thing here too. he makes a point that like at some points in this article, trying to improve the gameplay or trying to change the gameplay mechanics of the fighting game does nothing to improve like player numbers, which I agree. Like trying to
Absolutely.
like let's be honest too, the literally Tekken 8 is a great example. Look what they did with the heat system. Now, albeit I think it's a very interesting take about it too, but clearly it also like changed the way how a lot of people wanted to play Tekken beforehand, and they were trying to push for a certain play style, which not a lot of players were like really receptive of. I think Arslan Ash mentioned too that like the amount of like aggro stuff or like forced aggression that you have to do as well kind of ruins like one part of Tekken where like the other half of it is like how do you play defensively as well? How do you react to the other opponent? Like they don't give like players
Mhm.
that option, which is like that's actually a really fair criticism. And that went unanswered for a bit too, and it kind of a lot of people's like hype it Tekken 8 for a bit until they reverted back a lot of changes. They actually gave back more defensive tools back to like players.
Mm.
So that's great and all too, but I think the damage is kind of done. But that part doesn't matter too. And I would at least say, as bad as Tekken 7 was, like people were criticizing all the DLC characters were being strong. I think that was legitimately the only way how they got people to pay attention to Tekken 7 because otherwise, dude, that game would not have been as big without those DLC characters. I'm gonna be honest here.
Absolutely.
Like, we all want to like push or portray the fact too that like we're not we're like so focused on like just the gameplay aspect of the fighting game too, but it's like let's be fucking real about this here. Half of the time too, we don't give a shit unless it's like characters that we fucking love in the fighting games here, right?
Mhm.
Take for example for Street Fighter 6. I probably would still be playing it too, but at the same time with Street Fighter 6, I love the design of Kimberly because it's based off like the my other favorite characters back in the olden days. I think it was like Guy from Street Fighter 4 where he was literally just a ninja. Like,
Eat.
yeah, that was awesome. And it turns out, yeah, this is actually the student of Guy. And it's like, oh shit, this is awesome. And yeah, and Street Fighter 6, some people are saying it's like it's the quintessential design too. But Street Fighter 6 for me, it's like it highlights everything that we love about like the fighting games in both the way how the game plays and also how the characters look. Because let's be honest, too, I fucking love me Hobo Ken. when they
No, for real.
debut when they debuted that shit, I was like, okay, this game is gonna sell.
Hoboken.
Yeah, as fucked up as that is, too. I mean, look at Ryu's design. In a lot of ways, too, this is actually a homage to a lot of people that stuck with the Street Fighter. Where it's like we're now reached to the point where Ryu is now like actually at a more peaceful time. Like in this case, he's having like the best time. And the new age of Luke, that was like literally he's going to be the next face of it too, and that's something that like a lot of people are kind of receptive. We're going to be using Street Fighter 6 as a really much a big benchmark here right now because it is the biggest game in the FGC currently, right? 2x scale was supposed to like challenge that notion, but obviously right now it didn't achieve that. But it's something that's really interesting. Some of the things too that I would say what could possibly potentially hold people back from like participating in love. I'd say fighting game community has some parts into that play too, but I don't think it's like as simple as like, oh, the fighting game community is like stupidly toxic, which guess what? It is. Yeah, but it's also in a matter that like this is like the type of culture that they have cultivated where hazing is like a normal part of this culture as well, especially as fucked up as it is too of like watching Jay Wong in Mortal Kombat beat on little kids that are playing online. It is what it is,
It's,
right?
it's like they gonna learn today.
Yeah, as it's like albeit yes it is still funny too, but I do think that it does like portray like a big problem for like people that are outside the community looking into it, seeing that type of behavior. Like I can understand that, right? If you're not in the know too, this is just like this is like almost repulsive. Like this actual adult is like bullying the shit out of this child, and it's like
I call it, it's just a proper ass whooping. I don't see a problem with it.
true, right? But like I said, do you think right now the community is also like it plays another part in like probably not expanding the player numbers, or in this case, they want to see new bodies or new faces to come into the fighting game scene, but it's like the combination of
Mm.
the way how the game is versus also like the community itself that's not very newcomer friendly, which I like to argue it's not that either. I think a lot of people are very much newcomer friendly,
Hmm.
but I do think right now, whenever we have stuff like back when I mentioned Tekken 8 had like the whole issue that defensive play is not a good sign too. Everybody was kind of shitting on them for that. It doesn't really do much for like enticing. But my hot take here, I think it's okay if you don't get everybody to play fighting games, right? Now, in a manner of speaking, you wanted it to reach as many people as possible. That's perfectly fine. But at the very end of the day, too, for the developers that want to maintain or they want to get new people too, it's going to be hard no matter what they do without upsetting like their old legacy fans, right?
Mhm.
Because like imagine like the next thing too with like Tekken 8, they started like nerfing like now in this case too, your Lars is as the most powerful character right now too. Imagine they just straight up like nerf him for no reason, only to prop up like Lena.
Hell, the
Exactly.
fuck.
Yeah, it's
I
like it's one
mean,
of those.
I can't like. Let me go back on that. I can't say shit when I play Lars.
Mhm.
Stupidly busted, but not as busted as people think he is. He's really easy to play against, but beyond that is yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. So it's like one of the many credit or cynical takes that people have had to. Where it's like, oh, like this is from what it looks like the FGC's comment about like why like people are not into it. It's like, oh, no team equals no excuses. So fighting games can never be popular like team games are, like Valorant, Counter Strike, or League of Legends, and no RNG. Too brutal to ego, so fighting games can never be popular like card games. Fighting games are just RTS and arena shooters, all doomed genres. People are brain rotted and need instant gratification, so hard games can't be popular anymore. Okay, so these are takes that, at least as I'm reading it, these do not make sense for me. No team
Mm.
equals no excuses, so fighting games can never be popular. That is fucking bullshit. If anything, Evo numbers have said otherwise. That the last Evo that we went to was even bigger than last year's. And even now, it's anticipated that this year is going to be bigger than last year. So
There you go.
yeah, so that part doesn't make sense for the most part. No RNG and it's too brutal, too ego. Now that's the thing about it too. That like, okay, sure, no RNG, but at the same time, if you put RNG into this game too, a lot of people are going to be very upset too. Such as the fact that, oh, when you both press a button, it's going to be a 50-50 based on which one of these actually hit. And it's like, that's fucking bullshit.
It's just like going back to how I lose to people mashing the fuck out of me just because I'm gonna hit. I press one button and hope it hits,
Yeah,
and
and it's like,
it takes no real fucking fundamentals whatsoever. It's just
yeah,
a button you press
yeah,
and you win. I'm like, fuck
yeah,
that, dude. That's
yeah. And it's like it's impossible to compete with established players. You can't convince anyone to play anything not called Street Fighter. And that's not true at all. That is actually not true. Such as like let's look at what happened with like Arc System Works, dude. That was also a company that for a while too, they were mostly known for like their Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue stuff. And
mm,
also Melty Blood. Nowadays, their names are getting bigger with the more popularity that Guilty Gear has been receiving. And on top of that, Dragon Ball Fighters, literally cemented like right now, this is the company that you need to pay attention to whenever they're making new fighting games. Hell, Marvel Token Soul looks fucking awesome. I want to play as Doctor Doom so
put
that
them
I
in the
could just
blender.
yeah, this was like so I could just yell and say Evil Berry.
Put them in the blender. Press the
God,
button.
oh my god. The only thing I'm sad about this one, they did not give him his strongest air neutral in all of MVC, which was his foot dive. Man,
And they got to change it up a little bit, but
I
still make
know.
them cool.
I know. But the game does look super cool too. Whenever like we saw that trailer in like the video game
Mhm.
awards a while back too. Just seeing like Marvel Token Soul like, wait, it's in Japanese. Arc System Works. Wait, what the hell is it? Is that Iron Man? Is that Captain America? And then next thing you know, it's like, oh my god. Arc
In
System Work is
Japanese?
yeah. So Marvel Token Soul. Anybody that wants like an MVC style game too, and it's this point, it's just Marvel right now. Arc
Perfectly
System,
fine.
so it's like there were so many memes that came about this where Marvel went to Arc System Work when Capcom never attempted to try to make it MVC after the failure at Infinite.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's like in a lot of ways too. It's like, damn, did Arc System Work cut Capcom away from like possibly their biggest fighting game IP they could have made? Yeah, who knows, indeed. But and also yeah, so it's like saying too that like people won't play fighting games that are using an existing IP is also a load of horseshit too, because there are many games too that have come out from this whole thing, like Brawlhalla, for example, which is in this case is a Smash clone, which is actually pretty fucking good. Brawlhalla, or what was it, Rivals of Ether? That's another Smash clone. Again, a
Mhm.
lot of people are willing to try like new fighting games too. Hell, look at what happened with 2XKO when they first unfortunately named it that. Before that, Project L, a lot of people were very interested in that too, because they were also hoping that in this case it would have like, they would be able to pull from so many characters that they could put into the game. But it was unfortunate on launch, only 10 characters when there's so many champions in League of Legends that could have been in a fighting game. It's almost criminal that they did not incorporate a Lee Sin into this game. He has fighting game character encoded. What the fuck are you guys doing?
For real, Lee Sin or Set, literally the two champions they have that are just straight
Like
fucking
hands.
hands, dude. Hands. I'm like, Set is like, his ultimate is literally he's power bombing you. His W is a wind up punch that deals more damage
The
and
more
he hits
health.
you dead in the center. And Lee Sin is a martial artist who kick like who does, dude. He's literally a fucking monk who practices like various
Marsh.
martial arts. I'm like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah. It's like,
I'm like, bro,
yeah, and
the
then
two most
all,
obvious choices.
yeah, and it feels off. Like, here's the thing about it: the characters that we get released to, like, let's be honest, I'm okay with seeing Ari. I'm okay with seeing Echo, Braum, Ilaoi, Darius. Who else was there? Braum. Those six
I
characters are
think you
fine.
said
And then,
Braun twice already.
oh, is it? Shit.
There's
What was?
Warwick, there's
Oh yeah,
Timo, there's freaking Yasuo.
yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot about Yasuo. Forgot the wind shitter. Those were like the six characters, and then after a more bit too, I was okay with seeing Warwick and Vi. But then the moment they added like Jinx and Caitlyn, I'm like, okay, these are kind of cool, but these aren't like necessarily like the characters that people kind of expect to see in a fighting game. At least not yet, right?
I mean,
Timo is fine.
they would be like your the zone. I would say I haven't seen gameplay, but I'm assuming with their projectiles they're gonna be zoners. So
Yeah.
there is a place for them in fighting games because for ages now the archetype of zoners has existed along with like rushdowns and more
Mm-hmm.
all rounders or more like big bulky like execution style
Yeah.
inputs type of characters.
Yeah.
So I don't see like a problem with that. It's just very odd that they chose those characters when there are many other like characters.
Yeah, because they're now saying too that Akali is now going to be, Akali and Senna are going to be the next characters that they could do. It was like, I feel like Akali should have been in the starting roster too.
Indeed.
Like, it's hard to
Where's
really think about this now too, because there are so many popular characters or champions that they could have gone through, but they also chose like the most interesting characters to probably start it off with. I don't know. My hot take is the fact that they were probably banking on the fact that the Arcane people or Arcane fans would like play 2XKO because of like the characters there. Which I'm like, if that was the case too, you're not gonna convert like those guys into becoming fighting game players.
No, but I do see they aim for that because they are being opportunistic on
Yeah,
the fact that Arcane was such a huge success, and
yeah,
they had hopes to like, oh yeah, these people will have these they built like a affinity towards these characters, and they like might like them like, oh, I won't play them in a fighting game. That's probably
yeah,
I can see why they did it.
yeah.
Poor execution though,
It
but
might be.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think right
yeah.
now the whole timing that finally that this game is finally out to it, but unfortunately it's like limited character. But that means too that like by the time like Senna and Kali come out, that's only still 12 characters. That's like holy fucking shit, this is really bad. And then you cut their development team too, so it's gonna make it worse. It's like
Yeah, now they
holy
gotta
shit.
pull it out. Now they gotta pull it out their fucking ass somewhere.
Yeah. Do you think it was also a mistake for them to make it a free to play game?
I don't know. Like I really don't know about that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a choice of characters, in my opinion. Like the reason why, like, let's say, like for fighting games, you choose a character because maybe you like their character design or how
Mm-hmm.
they play. Like you test them out for like a few minutes, you find like their moves, like oh, like maybe it does like a spinning back kick or like if a little front flip into like a shuriken throw or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just something to entice you to reel you in. Then you keep playing, and it's like, oh, this is like a character for me, and it keeps
Yeah.
you in.
Yeah, like I think this article hands it out more like what I was saying earlier too. It's like a lot more people honestly care more about like the character designs. In this case, they it's a combination of like, yeah, good gameplay needs to be the thing too, but it's also sort of like, if it's like a legacy IP like fighting game too, it feels like all it should be is that it should be refined more than they're trying to
Hmm.
change it. Like a lot of people with Street Fighter 6 with modern controls, a lot of people think that like, oh, they're trying to rechange the format. That's like, no, it did not play exactly that either. All it did was it allowed people to experience a fighting game without, like in this case, dedicating too much time. Like it gave like the modern controls, it's like helps people like get into the fighting game too, until eventually they take those training wheels off to actually start learning it, which is perfectly fine.
Hmm.
I'm okay with that notion too. And it's even wild to think about too that they also allowed like people, if they want to play modern controls into official tournaments, they can definitely do that and play with people that aren't using it. And it's like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But it's like the whole hard limit is the fact that you're not, if you go on modern controls, you are limited access of like very specific specials that you could do. And in trade off for that, you won't do that much damage versus someone that's on like normal controls that will just beat your ass with like 15 mixers. But
True.
no matter what, we will always lose to the one person that's playing modern control Zang, because that is bullshit how they get free access to a fucking DSP that badly. I'm like, god damn it.
Fuck that shit, bro. That's so dumb.
That is my only gripe with modern control. Modern
I mean,
control Zangief is a menace.
let's just make a fucking grappler much easier to play and have little to no reward, or little investment, a high reward.
Yeah. Look, I blame Jay Wong for this, for teaching Doki Bird, another VTuber, to play modern control Zangief, and she just dominated everybody.
I
And
mean,
everybody was like, what the fuck? It was like, I hate you, Jay Wong, because now you expose the world to this fucking madness. I
I
hope
mean,
every game that you play through, people are gonna fucking Daigo parry you. I hope you live through that PTSD constantly.
oh my god, that's just funny.
God. Hell.
Not the Daigo parry. It's
Yeah.
like I can't. He's like I can't escape it.
Yeah.
It's been
It's like
20. It's been 22 years.
he's still, people are still like at this point too. People have played the fighting games enough too that like people have actually learned how to that whenever it's J Wong too, they recognize it too. It's like, all right, time to parry everything he does. He's just a mega tilt. I'm like, god damn it.
Oh, dude, that's just funny.
It's that is just funny too. J Wong is not allowed to peace ever.
Dude, it's funny but also endearing.
Yeah.
I gotta do
Yeah.
it to this guy.
Yeah. Oh man. But so it's like looking about this too. It's like, here's the thing: fighting games aren't just, they're not bad products. I think right now they have a hard time adjusting to modern like gaming space right now. I think that is a very,
Hmm.
yeah, obvious. But one of the few things that a lot of people talking about, and I think what I think it should be focused on is, in this case, character customization of like the characters you like to play. I think what keeps Tekken still going from 7 and 8 too is that like you can customize how your fucking character looks. Like you can
Hmm.
either make them look badass or make them look like a bum, whichever the
Yeah,
case may
in
be.
my case, I made Gojo, but I also made Brian in his fucking sleep attire with a tank top and pajamas with a
Hey,
cone on his head.
hey, come on. Okay, but that
Dude,
fit goes hard
it,
though.
hey, and I was like, you're gonna get beat up by a fucking hobo. No offense.
Yeah. Hey man, I was also like part of the problem too. It's like I made fucking Raven look like either LeBron James.
He's like, oh my fellas.
God, there's all the Hall of Fame. It's like
The
God.
Hall of Famers. He channel. It's like the Avatar. He channels all the fucking previous, like all the current Hall of Famers and previous Hall of Famers
Yeah,
into his one body, and just like the
jump him.
Avatar.
God.
I look back at it like an Avatar cycle. Look.
Yeah, and I think that's something to like really think about too. Here is that like I do think like a lot of older players probably don't want to admit the fact that like cosmetics technically will keep the games alive, but it is true actually. This is also the reason why Soul Calibur really great too. They had like a bunch of
Yeah.
character customization that you could do. So I think realistically, what Tekken 8 pull like character customization, or they're porting over like their last character customization system over to here. And I think Street Fighter 6, it's hard to do it for that game too, but it's like you could get like whole skins or appearance like package or like alternative costumes. Kind those are fine too, as long as like the
Mm.
alternative costumes look good. I think that's something to like. I think that's the only way that like 2XKL kind of will probably still survive too with like their current player base. Because here's the thing, I think there's a lot of people that like 2XKL, but that the whole thing too that like they're trying
Mm.
their best to make the game like easily approachable, but then like a high skill mastery too. When it ends up being like the most complicated fighting game that has come out lately, and it's just like well shit.
Well,
It-
fuck.
I mean, it's a two-edged thing here too, where they're trying to like make away like motion inputs to make the game more easy and approachable to. But all you really did is that like you give like players that know how to play fighting games like more combo extension tools now, and that's like ah, it's an unforeseen consequences when you're trying to make things accessible, which that
Mm.
itself becomes like the actual question here too. Because in your honest opinion about fighting games too, what part of it should be accessible? Because at this point, I don't think gameplay is gonna like making the gameplay more accessible is already like a shit show.
Damn it.
Yeah, because like you think about like the Tekken 8 with the heat system, that was sort of like let's be honest, it's sort of supposed to be like an accessibility feature that's supposed to allow people if they're like need like that push for like aggro plays do they would do that, but in response of like everybody else, they were using that as a way to like help with like combo extending and also like maximizing or resetting their combo damage.
Yep.
So it's like an unintended consequences of like making features that are simple, but it ends up like giving like more tools for pro players to start expressing skill expression, which in my opinion, I don't think that's a bad thing either. But I don't think that was like the intended result that the developers wanted. So it is a like let's be honest, face the fact of matters too. Fighting games are meant for it.
They are not. They will test your mental fortitude indeed a lot.
Yeah, like
I am a victim of it. I'm not gonna lie to you. There are many nights where I was just playing Tekken, and oh boy, that shit pissed me the fuck off.
and
Oh,
it's like it's one of the things too. To like I think in a lot of ways too, it's the hardest game genre for people. Although some people would like to argue with me on that too, but I say what it is. Fighting games are definitely a hard game genre.
mechanically, I would say yes. In
Yeah,
another retrospect, I think Tetris players, they're fucking crazy.
yeah,
Like,
but that also
that's
takes
a
some
skill
skill.
that you like. That takes so like that's practice in knowing like your lines. That's also a different form of like how fighting games like is pretty hard in terms of
Mhm.
just being mechanical and like doing inputs and shit. They
Yeah,
have to think like a few steps ahead and like know how to place these things. It's like just a different type of you know different type of.
yeah,
It's
and it's
still a good amount of training.
yeah, and that's something that like we really got to think about this and be introspective about this too, because like this part of the article here, where every fighting game has had countless systematic changes to its core game mechanics throughout history and attempts to evolve the genre, which that's perfectly fine. From the ranges of removing motion inputs, cooldowns on specials, and auto combo, simple resource management, GIMP assist mechanics to generate set play, highly complex motions to absurd movement tech and reduced input buffer, and all this type of stuff too. But none of that honestly explains why like the game succeeds or fails here too. You can't say that like because the game changed its core mechanics, it's the reason why the game failed, nor can you say that's the reason the game succeeded. Like
Mm.
it's one of the things too, like it's very hard, right? I can understand like for a developer's point of view, try to develop a fighting game that does appeal to a lot of people. It's very
Yeah,
difficult.
you can't please everybody.
Yeah. And that's something too that like I hope like right now with the lessons with my hope with at least with Marvel Token Soul is the game looks very snappy and it looks cool as hell.
It looks fun to watch. I'll say
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Just watching like right now, instead of like a 3v3, it's a 4v4, but nobody has like their own separate health bars. You should all share one health bar, and that's something that's very interesting in my opinion too. So we'll see how that kind of translate out too, because it's definitely something that fighting games will always try to evolve themselves to try to be something different that the other fighting games doesn't address here, right? That's why we
Mhm.
have stuff like Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, and other stuff too, with Soul Calibur, Tekken, Street Fighter 6, and now we're gonna go into 2XKO, which for the love of God, I fucking hated that name whenever they revealed that was the fucking title.
Project L sounds so much more badass.
It really did. It really did.
Like, where were y'all going with this, bro?
Yeah, and there was even
No,
like there was even a poll where someone actually put in Room Terror Rumble. That shit would have. I'm just upset too that that was the name that came with. However, that's only my minor gripe too. Some people said that it was good for the most part. Whoever said it was good too, I hope your knees are not bent the same way ever again. Anyways,
I hope your pillow is warm and not cold.
yeah. Oh man. This is just me coming from like very saltiness too. So the now in this case, what fighting games lacking as products? This is the burning question. It's indictment of the genre's developers that cause or so many obvious answers, such as there's no crossplay, there you don't have functional anti-cheat, no functional online net coding, matchmaking system that quickly and evenly match opponents with good connections, rank system that are actually accurate to player skills and not easily gamed, practice modes that are easy to test and give comprehensive details about the core game mechanics. So these are I could at least agree with like a couple things too. I am actually still surprised that crossplay is still not like a brought over feature here, right? For a lot of fighting. Like I feel like that is definitely like the first thing that you would probably tackle for like fighting games is how do you enable this and whatnot. The anti-cheat part, yeah, that one might be interesting too because I did not think it was that big of a problem. But you know what? In like in a ranked system too, where all that matters is like getting grinded up to a level, reaching the higher mastery scores too. Yeah, you're gonna have people that are gonna cheat for sure. So sure, right? I
And
don't know
money
how.
for
Yeah,
cheating.
but honestly, in my honest opinion, I have no other way how people could definitely do that outside of maybe like Riot's like Vanguard system, which he XD. I love having spyware on my computer. But matchmaking, that we already have like our own separate conversation about that too. Whenever it came with like Call of Duty, they want to get a skill-based matchmaking stuff. But even in terms like of fighting games like this too, it is definitely like difficult to try to get their best to match up correctly, right? Especially trying to match someone up with like decent connection, which then follows into better online netcode.
Mm,
And that was something again. 2XKO was supposed to change all that. It was supposed to be able to help like people crossplay over because of the fact that it's going to be like a free to play game in nature. So hopefully it gets ported over to consoles at some point. Probably that's just me speculating. Anti cheat, they already have that with that online netcode. They are literally being created by the same people that actually develop rollback netcode, which saved a lot of fighting games in general. But the most interesting one is the practice modes that make it easy to test and get comprehensive details. That is something that like I don't think too much about too, which I do think Tekken could actually have a very rare opportunity that they could actually go into this. Such as like technically you could modify like the training room settings to do exactly what you want it to do, but you have to like do it yourself versus like in Street Fighter 6 you actually do have specific rooms that test you for like specific mechanics here. It doesn't tell you outright, but you do, but you are able to find it. You are able to like jump into it. It's
mm.
like almost similar to I think I saw from like Thai DX dude that was also talking about this. He mentions too that like Fortnite even has like their own like maps too that helps you train how to get better at playing Fortnite, such as landing headshots, how to land from tracing players as they're jumping around from distance, how do you build correctly and all that stuff. And it's like it's all like a fully fleshed out like training system too. So like give players tools to learn how to get better. And Tekken 8 actually had a very unique opportunity to do so with the fact that you can watch your replays and hop into the middle of your replays to try to do something different. See what you could have done in that instance and moment that probably would not make you get checked there, right? And it's the same thing with like Street Fighter 6, where you could go against this AI bot too, and the bot would start learning your habits, start learning how to like counter you. And now you have to start playing. How does a bot? How do you play against a bot that will counter all the things that you do out of habit? Like it's forcing you to adapt, right? Which probably a good exercise too. I think this is like a area too, a very gray area where if they do this right too, I think it's gonna be for
For
the
sure.
next fighting guy. Have you ever tried using the features in Tekken 2 where you watch your old replays to see like you can hop in the middle to try it out?
Nope, I have not. But the only game I have really tried, I not really tried, but I tried to like get better, and it had a good training system was Rocket League. Funny enough, it's Rocket League. because there was a point in like there was a period in time to where I like Rocket League looks fun. All these like flying cars, playing soccer and shit. Like it was actually much harder than I expected. But playing with like a couple friends, I just recommend, hey, just hop into like these community like, trainings, and there's like catered trainings to for specific aspects of the game, such as like defending or attacking or learning how to do juggling with the ball, like dribbling and all that, or
Hmm.
just learning how to properly boost in the air, just
Right.
stuff like that. Like Rocket League did that pretty well, and I would say that was the one game, if I were to like actually put time in, it would actually you would see it right away, because high level Rocket League is like pretty fun to watch.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's something that like that's a really great point to like still solidify regardless. Maybe like when the fighting games too, like let's be honest too, it's a literal meme too. Like the training modes in a lot of these fighting games are mostly a joke half the time.
If they did something similar to how Rocket League does that, then I think it would definitely improve like basic fundamentals. Like if they
Hmm.
had like a course to where, like block the string or block, block one hit of a string, then you duck and you punish them, something like that, to train you to learn how like you go into your like get a flow, like a little rhythm, kind of like playing a rhythm game. It's like, oh, you hit this,
Yeah.
I do like one, two, then three, then launch them on three, that type of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's something really simple for those regards. Like it should feel like in this case if they manage to make the tutorial based missions too. And actually surprisingly enough, Guilty Gear Xrd actually had a really decent like training stuff too that made like people actually like Guilty Gear because like the training mode that they did for that was actually really interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
also the other parts too that like let's be honest here that a lot of people say that they don't like the fact that like the only thing that they sell you for the fighting game is that like you kind of just play ranked and you just kind of grind it out too, or if anything the whole purpose of like there's no point of like just staying in a training session of lab 2. You just got to play games against like actual people and ranked and just get better from there. That's not really like a good selling point for people wanting to get, yeah, because like it's bit, at least for me, like it makes sense to like try to like flesh those parts out, maybe like have like proper quote unquote like story mode campaigns that actually help like new players just become more used to the fighting game mechanics in general, right? And I like the idea too that like if you manage to complete the story too with like a high score based on like, oh, were you able to do like some of the core features such as for Street Fighter 6, were you able to do crush counters, were you able to do drive rush, can you do drive rush into a combo that will give you extra stuff like
Like
that
make it
too.
like a fun little mini game. You
Yeah,
see.
fun little mini game that at least like still helps, that still ties in together with like the game too. Like let's look at League of Legends for example. If you're not really playing for it, ARAM is literally that too. It's a different game mode, but it still fundamentally plays like the same game itself.
Fun.
Yeah, just the format is like portrayed to you differently, right? and
Mm-hmm.
and it's something too to like this is a where the party article that's like really interesting here. It's like, now have you ever wondered why every fighting game player loves Jackie Chan movies? Sure, but everyone loves Jackie Chan. Rush Hour made $244 million, yeah, and 1,300 movies that year made more than that. So anyways, what's it about this? This is critical to it wants to separate the genre from your typical man with gun action game and a man with a gun story. The hero comes from his weapon. It's outside of the self, but Ryu has fireballs. That's like a gun, right? Wait, hold on, no, hold on. That's not what I was getting at here. So yeah, some of the things too that like I feel like what needs to happen too is that like for the players, they need to feel like they're like getting engrossed into the game itself. Like in this case, the rival school, the student's journey, the reluctant hero, or like the tournament style, so like Dragon Ball Fighters, something like that, to like help the players feel immersed into the whole theme about it too. But I think at that point, that I feel like for me, this is more like a lesser thing too. This is just someone that like once they get into it, they feel engrossed into it. That's when things start to happen too. And I think there's another way how you can kind of facilitate that. And let's be honest too. I even asked like our friend here like a question of like if I were to give him like a fighting game, like he didn't have to pay for it, and I just say to him, how long would you think that you would last trying to play the game, even if, let's say, you did your best to try to play it out? And he says, at most, maybe a week, which, to be honest, for the normal person here, that's actually super generous.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because most people would definitely would drop like a fighting game like 3 days in, right?
it ain't made for everybody. I tell you that.
Yeah. So, but the problem that I think I see here, do you think things have changed now? Or at least this is actually hard for asking you because you aren't the arcade games to like play with. Like, neither am I too, but I did notice that there was definitely like a sudden change going from like the arcade to the digital realm space. That there's like the lost sense of like close community that like other people would like help each other try to get better at the fight. I think that's like how I kind of see it too. Do you think that might be an issue as well, or do you think right now at this point we probably adapted better about no arcades?
I don't know. Can't really form such an opinion because I didn't really grow up on it
Yeah,
per se.
yeah,
I just like how I learned to play video games and like especially fighting games. Like I just kind of do it. I
hmm
just kind of mimic what I see on the internet, type of
right,
deal.
right. So it's not like in this case too that you'll be like on one of like the cabinets too. You're trying to do this stuff, but then like some random like person goes up to you and say, "Hey man, I see you do this. Want to run a set with me? I can help you out with like trying to like do this whole combo." Like there's not like that sense of like let's be honest, me coming from this, like I said, FGC people are actually very much helpful for like newcomers that want to make like a legitimate attempt of like getting better at it.
Yeah.
So there's definitely that too, and I do think like not having like the physical like third spaces for people to like meet up to like do these type of things. Some people say because of that the whole fighting game scene is kind of lost too. I was like, I kind of disagree too. It's just the medium looks different now because now we just have Discord. Because at some point too,
Happening.
the like because like the other ways too, some people say that oh, if only like these games had like a guild system, like in most MMOs. I'm like, but why would you need to do that? You literally have in this case Discord to facilitate all of it, especially for a fighting game. Like the most easy solution would just be just join a Discord group. As fucking corny and lame that is, it's true. You will find people that love fighting games that it feels much better too if you have like a
Mhm.
Discord group chat that has like people that are not only they're passionate about it, you have people that are experts in the character you want to learn and they can actually give you like some new tech that you Peter and you
Yeah.
practice trying to do that. And not only that too, a lot of these people they're trying to post together or trying to bring in together a lot of resources and try to like standardize a lot of stuff to how to teach new players to get in.
Mhm.
So a lot of that is like some people saying that like, oh, because it's like an online too kind of kills that space. I'm like, not necessarily. It's just that it just moved from one space to the other. Now, I can at least say too that like it probably for some people they feel better if they actually had IRL friends that they could play together with, right? So I can understand that angle. But to say completely that like it's all like ruined because like it's all online based too is not 100% true. Like we do get that
Mhm.
here too. And let's be honest with you, I probably wouldn't be playing League of Legends for that long too, knowing that you guys were probably still there, probably still talking shit about my place here. Fuck you, Lloyd,
Oh,
telling me to
still
go.
do.
Yeah, fuck you telling me to go in when you're like at the opposite end of the map.
Never happened.
I fuck you.
Never happened.
Like, but yeah, some things that he points out, Dragonfall Fighters is closest thing doing it right. So it's a shame that we got backwards on this, such as we have like in this case the Battle Hub Tekken. I think it's interesting too that like you I had like a close relative about it too that he has some grand stripes of like online like sort of arcadey style system that arcade room system that they were trying to go for with. But I think in general too, I thought of it as like
Mhm.
it's okay for them to kind of try these out because it's something that like they need to experiment right now in like a new age where it's let's be honest, we're not in like the cabinet arcade era days. I think that's like the other fundamental problem. It's like I do agree in some ways this is how the developers think. If this is how the developers see making fighting games, they're not we're past the point that we're making fighting games as if we're in an arcade and we're past that
Mhm.
and now they're trying to like try to see like how do we incorporate like the new stuff in the game too. And I'd say too that like some people says like oh so why not put Discord in a game too. It's like yes we need to you're putting the function that Discord is currently in servers into the game, but in the way that's coherent with the narrative and aesthetics of the genre, which I can understand that that'd be kind of cool, but at the same time, I feel like it's unnecessary and it does take away like development time away from the main development of the game. Unless it's like sort of like, hey, if you don't really change much of like the core mechanics, like you already have the audience. If you can like figure out some ways of like make some quality of life changes, maybe for the UI space, that'd be perfectly fine. But I don't know. It's a fighting game too, where like the game is simple in the way that like presentation, but it's definitely hard to execute based on like what your goals are. Like for 2XKO's example, they definitely wanted like bigger player size pool because of the whole notion that like it's a free to play game. So the only way this game actually works is that you have like a big enough player base.
Yeah, excuse me.
And I say they kind of did achieve it, but uh to classify it as a failure is like it's very disheartening just because I was probably one of the few people that held 2XKO that like this will probably be like the future for fighting games. I did make that bold statement a while back.
Mhm.
Do I regret saying that? Not really. I still stand by what I said here too, because of the fact that I do think 2XKO is probably what's needed to shake up the entire space itself too. Especially when like Street Fighter 5 when it got released was the most abysmal launch ever. It didn't get better until like few patches down the line too, where they started introducing like new gameplay mechanics that ended up saving the entire game system with already a lot of balancing patches and here. And now Street Fighter 6 comes out and it's actually one of like the better like fleshed out developed games now too. Despite the fact that you have like stuff like Drive Impact or Drive Rush, which are new mechanics, but they're easy to more or less understand. With that, I could say like the article itself, it has a lot of great points, but there are definitely some stuff too that I probably wouldn't think about. In this case, single player mode that amplifies the fighting game and the fun that they're in their own rights. So including a single player game mode is going to be very risky too, because at some point it becomes like unnecessary like development time to something that not a lot of, let's be honest here. Like we had stuff like Tekken Force, which is like a beat 'em up with the Tekken skin. That was probably back in like the Tekken 5 or whichever Tekken series that was on the PS2. Or that was like part of the campaign mode where all you were doing is that you were just doing it. That was
Tech. No, wait. I don't remember. I don't Tekken 6 try to do something. Like with like a story mode with like when they introduced Larson and Alessa. It was just so weird.
yeah.
Low key. I ain't gonna lie. It was low key kind of weird.
But I think here's my take about it. I feel like if you're going to go with like a single player like story mode too, and the only way that like in Street Fighter they've always done it is like it's called arcade mode, and you just follow like each individual character's stories unique to their own, right?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like
Yeah,
what they did with like earlier Tekkens, where you're just going through like, oh, we're going through arcade, we're gonna beat these people.
yeah,
I remember specifically Tekken 4, like you just go through like a few rounds and at the end you fight Heihachi. Or
yeah.
in Tekken 6, right? I think it was like Tekken 6 or Tekken 7 where you were like fight Azazel
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
every
that,
time.
yeah,
Yeah. Everybody had their little story arc and it was cool to see. I think if they do it that way, I think it's fine. But I think people nowadays like they want to be immersed into the storytelling and like overall verse of the game. So that could be a little tricky to pull off nowadays since they're more
yeah,
focused on different aspects of the game.
yeah. Would in this case would World Tour from Street Fighter kind of work the same way that you're thinking about, or is it like sort of less like a half-hearted attempt?
Well, it's kind of like a World Tour for Street Fighter 6 was a little different compared like to any other fighting like campaign, quote unquote. I would say,
Hmm.
but it worked because it was kind of like an RPG in a sense.
Yeah,
Like you go around and explore, so it gave you like a sense. Like I'm gonna go. Oh, this is where this certain person is. Like you just go explore, you know. So it's kind
yeah,
of in a sense like it still functions as a different game, but you're
yeah.
still benefiting from the main game of improving as a fighting game player.
Right.
Which is
And yeah, and here's a funny thing that I really do think that they should really entertain too, because I think those are fine. I feel like those are effectively staples too. This is something that we go back to, like enhancing the training mode system for a lot of like the modern fighting games. Do something where like with Fortnite and let's say Rocket League, have the people like be able to load up like community made like set up like practice matches.
Exactly.
Do something like
Just like
that
that.
too, where it has like a give them like the tools to be able to develop like certain things such as like can you like perfect block certain strings too, like you get points based on like how many times you are able to perfect block, or um you are supposed to stay within like a range of it too, and you're trying to like play footsies to like be in this case more control of understanding spacing,
Hmm.
something like that, something that is not taught a lot in like modern fighting games, that it's like one of the things that's like just an inherent skill that you learn just by playing too. I feel like it's a lot better if you were to like kind of show people like, hey, how do I do KBDs as well too, because that's not really explicitly explained in any Tekken game too. But there's like other tools that are people that get installed while playing the games too, that can score you points based on like how many successful Korean backdashing you can do. So it's some things like that too, that like I think something closest to what Fortnite and Rocket League are doing with community maps too is what's probably needed for like Street Fighter games, because that actually helps like bridge the gap together from like newcomers to like people that are already in the scene, right? Because now
Hmm.
you give like the newcomers like an opportunity to like understand like some lingo, some things that fighting game pro players or fighting game players or watchers look for in general whenever they see like high level matches.
Yeah.
That's just something too that like for me, I'm not good at fighting games, but I understand enough of the fighting game terminology and what to look out for that I can watch like a pro tournament match
Yeah.
and be fucking amazed too of like how fucking like intense a lot of these things are. And I will congratulate anybody that goes through that shit from the group brackets to the top eight, because that is just nonstop playing the same game and you have to like keep up the momentum, and I could not
And
do
be
that.
and be consistent.
It's like I can't possibly do that type of shit. It's just like it is astonishing. That's why we love watching these players too, right? Because
Dude,
not
it's
everybody can do it.
hard. It's hard. Like it's like just like sidetrack, but it's still kind of relevant. Like any other game, like you just put in like so much practice in, or just like a sport. Let's just say like athletes, they put in time into like the weight room, and they're
Yeah,
like little mechanics during drills. You watch the game, and it's like, oh, like he, like, let's say football, you popped off for like 8 catches, 150 yards, but how did he get that?
yeah. It's
Like
like
how, like watch his routes on like a receiver, like how his little, his little shifting, it's just a little hip turn can just change how the defender has to defend. It's kind of like those little mechanics, those minute details that gets overlooked because it's not flashy. Like nowadays, where like our attention span is so
pretty low.
short that we,
Yeah,
yeah, like that too, and we don't really notice it, But in a fighting game, like going back into fighting games, like maybe like you said previously, like footsies and playing the range of like certain attacks, like
yeah,
like you have like a mental estimation of how far this can reach, and then going in for a counter.
yeah,
That's like the little thing that you appreciate, and the defense as well. Like, oh, like there's like bunch this mix up that it's almost impossible for an average player to block because they don't, they just panic
yeah,
under pressure. But the pro players, they practice this in. I was like, hey, I'm gonna put myself in this stressful situation, so when I encounter this later on in a big tournament in front of thousands of people, I can do this like it's just like the back of my, like I know this back of my hand.
yeah. And that was just something too that like this is why like again we love fighting games, just because of like the whole thing too, where like it feels less like you're trying to do combos and more like you're watching like a very sophisticated and probably fast paced like chess match ever. Like you're watching in this case, it's not even about like how
Indeed,
well can
no,
this
like
player play their
honestly,
character.
watching when
Yeah,
we went to Evo and we're just like watching some footsies.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
Street Fighter Third Strike. That was just all it is, like
it's like,
battle for footsies. But it even then, that's so insane to like watch through. Like especially like the moment that the player sees it too, and then how fast they capitalize on that mistake. Holy shit! It's one of the things too that like
for
I love it.
real. I'm like, what the,
Yeah, I love fighting games, and
what the fuck, bro?
I probably still watch fighting games even if I get old too. That's just something that like I kind of grew up watching.
You will get old.
Hey, shut up. Hey man, so is Jay Wong, and he already has a kid.
You will
All
get
right.
old.
Hey,
Bro, a lot of people have kids nowadays. People, our friends have kids, and they're younger than Jay Wong. That don't make no
God,
difference.
yeah, fair enough. But so one of the things too that like are fighting to end this off too, because we are getting to that point. Are fighting games inherently bad products? Not really. I think in general too, they are lacking in a lot of modern features that could take them to success for sure. But the success itself is only predetermined based on the actual people that want to. Because again, you can't force someone, you can't force a Call of Duty brain rotted person to learn to fighting as much as you really want to. I don't think a lot of people will want that. It's like the same thing too with 2XKL. There's like so many FGC people that want to see League players try fighting games for the first time and kind of see them the fact that they would just rage at no one but themselves.
I'm like, you can't flame your teammates in chat now.
Yeah, it's just me and you, buddy. Me and you. So it's
Like,
like,
you either I suck, you suck. Who sucks worse at this point?
yeah. It's like, oh god. I like I said, I can't wait for like the next Evo to come around too, because 2X scale is definitely featured in that one. And I do want to see more stuff in Marvel Token Soul. That shit looks amazing. We even got like the next trailer too that shows off a lot of like the next characters. They featured the X-Men. Fucking Wolverine is back. And guess what? Magic is also in that shit too. And she looks amazing. Her playstyle, if you haven't
Oh
seen it
yeah.
yet, Lloyd,
Oh
is
yeah.
that she's teleporting bullshit. She has a fucking Gyaru like dragon
Oh
install.
no, I
What?
saw. I saw, yeah.
I was like,
I saw.
I am so locked into watching these games now.
I ain't gonna lie. When you like briefly pause for that, and you said I am, like, usually when you follow I am, like what follows after I am is usually I am so hard right now. I was expecting you to say that. I ain't gonna lie to you, dog.
Yeah. Like, I honestly I would say that too for Magic, just because again, blonde woman saving the fighting game once more.
I wouldn't be. Oh,
white white woman
stay with
save
stay with
us.
stay with me now.
Like it's derogatory comments aside too, she looks amazing too, on top of like Wolverine now back in like the fighting game scene too. A lot of people kind of want to see Cyclops also be reintroduced into this. I'd also be down to see that. There's so many potentials too that like there's even like what is it, Marvel Token Soul has announced that like they're going to be releasing 20 characters on release, which is like holy shit. I can't wait what those look like, because like we have to
Let's
look into,
go.
yeah, it's a 4v4 fighting game too, so there's going to be a lot of permutation to happen here too. So, and it's purely Marvel characters, so that also means too we're going to see a lot of stuff. My next bet is the fact that they're probably going to put in Punisher or Moon Knight in this bitch. So
Hmm.
we'll see. But anyways,
Hmm.
thank you all for tuning in for us kind of rambling about fighting games and not really discrediting this entire article. There were things I agree with, right? But overall, too, I think this is something that like we can't really assume that much either, too, because there's just a lot of things that go into fighting games that determine not just fighting games. There's a lot of things that go into a game's success and failure that we ourselves are not like the best predictors in the reason why it is. Until next time, too. Thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.